little break. I thought it was time.
Me too. Good morning. It's Bear and Friends. 18 August 25 here with all of your political commentary for the day of Monday. I am joined by Mr. Heath, Mr. Barb, Mr. Jody. We are bearded for your pleasure, and unlike the Minnesota Vikings.
Already?
Hey, it's Monday, bro.
Yeah.
Like, it's Monday. I've been up since 3:08 a.m.
Good number.
Yeah, it was. That's actually why I woke up. It was like, well, it's 3:08. I have to be awake now. Can't just fall back asleep again. So I did a little bit of writing this morning, posted that over on Patreon for the Prepper Classroom 2.0, and then recorded a brief, and then came to hang out with y'all. And everybody's a little spicy this morning.
Yeah.
And we're going to encourage the spiciness. Please share the show with somebody you love. YouTube hates our guts. We hate their guts right back. If you're unaware, uninformed, we're going to continue to make content on YouTube, but it's not going to be my main thrust anymore because after 18 months of data, the channel's not growing. Cool. Pivot. Ball's in your court, YouTube. If you want to take off the shadow banning, maybe we can be friends again. But we're not friends. We haven't been friends for a year and a half. And so we're also simulcasting over to X. We're going to continue to do that. We're going to continue to build the audience over on X. And thank you to everybody on X who's joined the Bear Nation. We appreciate you greatly. And of course, the patrons, economic engine of the Bear Nation. So, Lamppost says, we encourage squirrely attitudes on Mondays. Indeed. What's happening with the Minnesota Vikings?
Oh,
Heath?
man. Yeah, so they hired a male cheerleader, and can I say the F word?
We just say he's fruity? Is that the word you're looking for?
Fruity as can be. And of course, when you like come across this on X, because that was the first thing that I saw all over X this morning was Minnesota Vikings hiring a male cheerleader, and they debuted him yesterday, I guess. And he does his full trot, and he's got it all, just like the ladies, just going out there. But he's in like some purple basketball shorts and this tank top, and just killing it with the ladies, right? And in the comment section, there's always one lesbian who's like, well, you got a stadium full of a bunch of men watching a bunch of men in tights tackle each other. This is just another form on the same field.
No, one is the modern equivalent of warfare.
Right.
Which is why everybody hates the freaking rules. Like in the NFL now, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Roughing the passer.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, bro. When I played football, bro, like the whole reason on defense that the offense had a face mask was for us to get something to grab a hold of. You know what I mean? Like It was a blast. It was fun. I remember my defensive coach used to scream from the sidelines, Morris, get in there and kill that kid. Yes, sir. And that was my job. Get in there and kill that kid. Right? And so I got it pulled up from Fox News. The guy's name is Blaze. Imagine that, Blaze. It's probably Blase. Wait, did someone say our name? Blaze Sheik wrote in a post on Instagram with Khan ahead of the Vikings preseason game against...
Did he say our name?
Our name. Well, our name is Legion, for we are many.
Yeah.
Okay.
But listen, on the other side of the coin,
Hell no.
okay, this is America. You can be as weird as you want to be. Go for it. Fly your little freak flag. However, National Football League, the rules have gotten worse and worse and worse over the years. Ratings are down. You got people kneeling on the field, right? That they will not participate in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Yeah, COVID. I don't know if anybody remembers COVID years. And now they're like, what if, hear me out, what if we take the gayest little dude the world has ever seen and we parade him out in front of the national stage and see what that does for ratings? It's almost akin to, remember when Bud Light had that?
I was
guy?
just thinking that.
Yep.
Okay, right?
Why didn't they hire it? He, she, it, whatever it is.
I'm just saying, there's certain things.
They.
If we're going to make America great again, right? If that's the stated intent of this current administration, make America great again, I want 1978 Chevrolet Silverado commercials again. I want Coors Banquet beer again. Men with beards.
That's such a good beer too.
McCullough chainsaws. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like just overalls, like non-ironic Oshkosh overalls, not hipsters and Carhartt.
Right.
You know, like men. What men? I want men to be men. And people will push back against that and say, well, it doesn't have to be that. It shouldn't be that. What about the men that don't feel like men or the men that are different kind of men? All right. This country was built by men and women that were willing to be killed for their political and, more importantly, religious beliefs. They got on wooden ships and crossed an ocean to come here. Oh, colonizers. Hey, they colonized my grandparents too.
Yep.
Might makes right. Okay? We've lost our might. We've lost our religious compass. We've lost our relationship with the Most High. That one half of the country politically identifies with a group that can't even define what a man and woman is, right? And it's like,
There's been definition, it's been ingrained in your DNA since the beginning of time, and you can't figure it out.
It's in Genesis, male and female, he created them.
Well, there's only two.
That's it.
Only two.
There's only two.
You've got a 50-50 shot. Figure it out.
So, and I have never been a woman. I'm never going to be a woman. I'm all for women. We have tons of badass women in our organizations. I have an incredible wife. All three of you have incredible wives. Dudley has
Absolutely.
an incredible wife. Awesome women. But if we go to Scripture, every time we see in Scripture women having to do incredible things,
Oh, yeah.
it's because the men haven't stepped up. It's the whole story of Deborah and Barak.
Yeah.
Deborah's like, yeah, I'll lead the army, but you're the commander.
Yeah.
Why can't you lead them? And he's like, well, they won't go unless you go. What does that say about Barak? Right? That's a huge, and then Yael is the one who puts a tent peg in the side of Sisera's head.
Yeah.
Like, we literally had a shirt called Biblical Womanhood that was Yael pounding a tent peg through the side of Sisera's head. We did. I thought you might still be able to get it at bearindependent.com.
Amanda would probably wear that shirt.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal shirt. But at what point do we've shamed shaming, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
Right? We've lost truth, where we can't just look at something and go, nope, because that's bigoted, that's racist, that's misogynist, that's xenophobic. What if they're just wrong? You know what I mean?
Like, like fat shaming, right?
Yeah.
Personally, I think there should be an application process for an individual to be able to purchase a bikini or short shorts, for example. I mean, that's just me. But kind of thinking back to that wee idiot, Bruce, what'd you say? No, Blaze.
Blase.
There
Yep.
we go. So take a look at college, right?
Mm-hmm.
Colleges have male cheerleaders, but the vast majority of those male cheerleaders are straight
Yep.
and strong as hell.
They're jacked.
They are jacked.
Yep.
And the Minnesota Vikings chose to hire that.
Yep. Well, it's not even, okay, so to that point, right? So, yeah, there's male cheerleaders. In fact, when I played football, we used to give those dudes a hard time.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Until I had a conversation with him one day, and he's like, look at who I get to hang out with all day. And I was like, oof, point taken. Right?
Copy.
At a certain stage in life, like everybody's chasing a cheerleader, and it's like this dude is just surrounded by cheerleaders.
Yep.
He literally just picks cheerleaders up all day. And I was like, noted. Nice moves, bro. Okay?
Well,
That being said, you call yourself a pastor, male and female, he created them. All right? That being said, this blase chic dude, Shrek dude, whatever his name is not, it's more his conduct. He's not conducting himself as a male. If you look at the video of him going out onto the field,
Right.
he's literally out there like this, like he's one of the
prancing.
lady cheerleaders, and he's got his pom-poms, and it's like, hey, go team. It's like, we have
That's when you have a happy little accident, like on the sideline.
Yeah, somebody needs a golf cart that dude. But here's the thing. We have gotten ourselves societally into this situation here where we have small percentages of society, of American society, less than 1% of the population, driving what culture should look like, where the vast majority of people who don't agree with that type of behavior have been indoctrinated to the point where if you speak up against it, that's hate speech. You're a bigot. You're not allowed to have an opinion on that. But if any one of us saw our son conducting himself that way on a football field, what would you do to your son?
I can't say that on camera. But we'd have a conversation for sure.
Yeah. I'll tell you what would happen to my son. He's 17, and he's straight AF, and he has a beautiful girlfriend.
Yes,
he's
he
hardworking.
does.
So he's good.
Your son is a solid young man.
Praise Yah.
Very happy.
But that didn't happen by accident.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it took, you know how many conversations I've had with that boy over the last 17 years of his life about how a man conducts himself and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable. And then all of the men that he gets to grow up around.
Yeah.
And the standards that we hold across the board.
Yeah.
And that, so this is another thing with community, which has also been degraded in our modern American society, is that not only do I raise my son, my brothers raise my son, and I help raise their sons. Like if I see one of their sons that's out of line, I'm like, hey, come here, kid, let me talk to you. They see my kid out of line, they're like, come here, kid. We don't do that. We don't behave that way.
Yeah.
Here's why we don't behave that way. And so maybe this is all toxic masculinity, but it takes toxic masculinity to build skyscrapers and bridges and wind turbines and coal plants and go halfway around the world and kill bad guys and police the streets and show up when a house is fully engulfed in flames. We want toxic masculinity. We want dudes with testosterone numbers so high you can't graft them to show up and do dangerous shit on behalf of society. And that's not pom-poms at the football game.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm just tired of the pom-poms at, like, the men with pom-poms at the football game.
Yeah.
You know what? They got to take that from us too? You have thoughts, Jode. What are they?
So,
Don't be shy.
to be honest with you, man, there's a lot that we all know that the world's conducts itself, and it's not the way that the Father honors, right?
Yep.
And for us, it's simple to see the difference, right? Because we've got some instructions to follow on. We get to see his character. We get to see the character of his people, when they're doing good, when they're doing bad, when he's happy, when he's not happy.
Right.
And we also get to see the grace, mercy, and love, right? So we have this faith, you know, and people out there don't know any different. And so the culture, although sickening the way things are going, it's what's to be expected, you know, and the Bible says it ain't going to get good. It says it's going to get bad.
Well, so I personally have a problem because I believe that it started in the churches. It started in the churches. The first thing that they did was, well, if you're a Christian man, you have to be peaceful. You really need to be nice. Nice and kind are not the same.
Yeah.
The command is for kindness. The fruit of the Spirit is kindness.
There we go.
Kindness does not remove a capacity for violence.
Yep.
Amen. So we do live in a sinful, fallen, broken world. Barb, who runs the world right now?
7 individuals.
Okay. Is there a serpent, the Nahash, the enemy?
Over the top of them, yes.
Okay. Who's our enemy? That piece of shit.
Yep.
Okay.
Not flesh and blood.
So Exodus 15 verse 3, Yahweh is a warrior, Yahweh is his name. Are you created in his image?
100%.
Yeah. Cool hoodie, by the way.
I'm wearing that.
Yeah, look at that, right? My favorite verse when people are like, what's your life verse, brother? Exodus 15 verse 3. Okay? And if you read the Bible, there was absolutely a warrior class. 100% a warrior class. And people get wrapped around the axles on that. There's so much bloodshed, so much killing. So yeah, if you try and kill me, I will kill you back. Simple as that.
Yep.
Okay? Why? To protect the women and children. Simple as that. And so the warrior class is biblical. Our Father is a warrior. In fact, you can read in Deuteronomy, he rejoices at the opportunity to go to war for his people. Cool. So to what you were saying about churches and meekness and all of that, and kindness being different from being nice, we are at war with the enemy. It's just Messiah himself says the harvest is great, but the workers are few. There's very few Christian men that will actually go to war against the enemy.
Yeah.
They'll talk about it. They'll make social posts about it. They'll bring it up in their Tuesday evening men's group. And then they'll well, what does it look like to go to war against the enemy? Well, we should be in prayer. We should be leading our homes.
Yeah.
We should be studying the word, not just flipping through it. We should be studying it. But all of that should spur us to action. And what does that action look like? To Jody's point, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of the Most High. This blase shriek or whatever his name is, he's not beyond redemption. But being nice to him is
and
not.
praise the Father for that.
Amen.
You know, because the Spirit can relentlessly pursue a man like that. And, you know, as a matter of fact, my wife...
Any man, not man,
any,
just like that.
Any man. But, I mean, just specifically a man like that, where my wife, she's been following a man on Instagram who, for the last 15 years, has, you know, gone through transition and all of that. Then all of a sudden...
Spirit got a hold of him.
Spirit got a hold of him. He accepts Jesus. Yep. And then all of a sudden, he starts transitioning back, and now he has a girlfriend, and he's no longer speaking the way he used to speak. He's beginning to speak with a certain level of masculinity and embracing masculinity. Like, that's what the Spirit does. Once you have an adequate idea as to how the Father sees you, you can then begin to embrace that and make the changes that are necessary in your life so that you can be all that he made you to be.
And that's the kindness. Because we could be nice to blase shriek and go, oh, he's just doing his thing, man.
Yeah.
Just leave him alone. But, you know, I love the sinner, hate the sin, right? Okay. But the kindness would be, hey, come here. You should not be conducting yourself this way.
Yeah.
This is not how a man conducts himself. I get it. This is an accomplishment for you. It's not an accomplishment for the kingdom. It's not an accomplishment for the Most High.
Right.
You're setting a poor example for all these other young men out there. You've wrapped your identity up in your sexuality because you don't know who you are. You don't understand that you are a son of the Most High. And this is not how we conduct ourselves as a son of the Most High.
That's right.
Right? And so then that requires a turn, which is shuv or teshuva, which is translated as repentance, which is a physical turn away from the thing that you're doing that's egregious to the Most High. So the niceness would not remediate that situation. But kindness, truth spoken in love, hey man, what are you doing?
Yep.
This is an embarrassment, not something to be proud of.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? With like we as men don't conduct ourselves this way.
Yeah.
You know, and my older kids are 18 and 17. They have friends from school that are, you know, at somewhere on the spectrum as far as gender and sexuality is concerned in the whole nine. And they're like, what do we do with this? It's like, you can love them, speak truth to them, but this is not okay. Here's why it's not okay.
Yep.
Okay? And they get that, right? And so even then, sheltering your children from the evils of the world that's challenging, man, because you don't want to overload them with it. You don't want them to get demoralized, right? You don't want them to go, yeah, it is a broken, sinful, fallen world. Maybe I'll just go hide from all of it or acquiesce to it. It's like, no, we got to know what right and wrong looks like so we can properly divide what behaviors, what actions should I be engaged in. How do I love this person as myself?
Right.
You know, and it's been really cool to see my older kids as they've grown up. I mean, from the last women's retreat, I was usually when the women go to women's retreat, it's crickets for 3 or 4 days. I don't hear anything, right? I don't hear anything except a screaming baby because mom's gone for 4 days.
Yeah.
But my phone started buzzing, and it was pictures from women's retreat of my daughter and my son's girlfriend in the pool baptizing people.
Praise God.
Hit me right in the feels. You know how proud that made me as a dad?
Yeah.
Super proud, right? Because I'm a religious extremist, yeah, you know? And then, you know, my son one day comes to me and he's like, hey, Dad, have you got any more tassels, zitziot? I'm like, what? You lost yours? Like, where? Because we wear tassels, numbers 1537. You do you, boo. If you don't have the conviction, don't worry about it. If you do, numbers 1537. And so I'm like, yeah, I got some more. Where are yours? He's like, no, they're not for me. I'm like, okay, who are they for? He's like, well, there's a kid on the bus. I'm like, does he know what this means? Right? Because the command is to wear these to remember and do all the commands of Elohim. And he's like, yeah, I've been talking to him about it for 6 months. Every day, going to and from school, this kid was sitting with my son on the bus learning. And my son was teaching him the word. Awesome. And the word made flesh. So finally, the kid's like, I need to get me some of those. I was like, yeah. I took the ones off of my pants in the closet. I was like, give these to him. We'll get some new ones at some point, you know? And so if you do raise your children right, at some point they become a tool in the Father's toolkit, you know? And now as my oldest is engaged and she's about to fly the coop, which is super weird for me. You know, this is the first one of our kids we have that's in the process of moving out. Praise the Father, she's got a great fiance, great young man. They've got their heads on relatively straight for young people.
He's a good dude.
He is a good dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll still cut his neck if I need to. But he's a good dude.
It's just not necessary.
Yeah. Keep it that way. He watches the show. He knows he's loved. You know, it's challenging because at the same time I'm planning a wedding, I'm literally changing diapers.
Right.
You know, like both ends of the spectrum.
Such a dichotomy.
But it's cool to see them as they grow and go out in the world. It's like we've successfully put a few more tools in the Father's toolkit to do good in this world. Not to sit on the sidelines, not to simply observe, but to go out and be a force for good in the Father's kingdom. And it's going to take more of that. Everybody talks, this whole current political regime that we're under is this concept of make America great again. How? If we don't fix people in their hearts, if we don't have the boldness to be able to look at something and go, no, don't do that. That's not how we conduct ourselves. That's unacceptable. We're not going to do that. We're not going to tolerate that. We're not going to participate in that. It's never going to get any better. Entropy, what's that, the second law of thermodynamics? Everything falls apart over time. Right, and it requires consistent effort and input just to keep things from falling apart, which is in of itself proof of the fact that God exists because the universe has not fallen apart yet. Okay? So that's way deeper Sod teaching.
It's so good.
Hey, so let me jump in. So all that to be said, when you have matters of sexuality, the line that draws for me is that you can't make it public. It's because we're exposing it to the kids, and that's why. Because what kids need to be exposed to is not that.
Yep.
That's a special, sacred thing.
Yeah.
And the way that it's thrown around in the world is what I constantly, with my littles, have to show them, like, hey, like, You know, that's not, you know, if they see something or they're like, hey, what's that? And you're like, this is what that is, and we don't do that. And that's the part where the world has gotten that way out of line with what they allow to be public and glorified and all this nonsense. And that's the stuff that really pisses me off.
It's a good word, because it's not just homosexuality that's prevalent, it's also heterosexuality, right? Which then takes away from what a covenant relationship should look like.
Yeah.
You know, and Andy Frisella talks about this a lot on Real AF, and he's been on it a lot lately. He was talking about how societies always do better when boobs are harder to see. Like, straight up. He's like, it's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's like
less distraction.
The harder it is to see a naked woman, the harder a man will work, right? And
That's
I was
a good
like,
word, dude.
wow.
Yeah.
I'd never stopped to think about that. But
That tracks.
yeah, but now, depending on how you use your existential crisis rectangle, I could, you know, I make shapes appear right now on my phone.
Right.
Right, to what end? To what end? And so it's not just homosexuality, it's heterosexuality as well that has just become blatant. You were going to say something.
Well, it's, you know, it's difficult as a parent to protect and shelter and make sure that, you know, kids in general are not being subjected to nonsense. I'll just say it nicely that way. But, you know, you could literally homeschool your kids, and they're still going to have access to the depravity of the world. Like, all we have to do is go to Target and pick up groceries, and my kids are like,
Yep.
is that a boy? Is that a girl? Why is half their head shaved? Why is their head pink?
Yep.
I think that's a girl, but she's got facial hair. Like, seriously, it's all of this, and that's just, you know, standard out and about, going and living life and doing things to perpetuate a certain level of normalcy for my family. And, you know, it's incredibly difficult to, you know, I don't want to, you know, be an extremist in terms of sheltering my children, because they need to know the truth of what there is in the world.
Mm-hmm.
At which point I just need to be all the more thorough in the teaching of what is righteous and what is not righteous.
Mm-hmm.
But it's becoming all the more difficult by the day.
We had a brother at Assembly 2 Shabbos ago had a question on, what does it look like to be set apart, right? So we're supposed to be set apart. Leviticus 19, be set apart as I, Yahweh, the Lord your God, am set apart.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a geographic element to that. There's a psychological element to that. There's a spiritual element to that, right? But set apart from the world doesn't mean that we never interact with the world. I like to interact with the world on my terms, not the world's terms, right? But Messiah himself said, we are a city on a hill, shining city on a hill, right? No man lights a lamp and puts it underneath a basket. Well, if you're not putting your light on parade for everybody else to see, then you're not using that light, right? And who needs the light the most? Those who are in the darkness. And we get fearful sometimes of, like, I don't want to be in the dark. It's like, but buddy, the light's within you. Use it for what it's for. Because John tells us the light shines into the darkness, and the darkness comprehends it not. Right? So, like, and depending on which translation you read, and the darkness has not overcome it. Mm-hmm. Right? So light is way more powerful than darkness is. And so there's an onus there for us, those who are light bearers in the Father's image, to be in the world so that others might see it, not to simply completely remove ourselves from the world and isolate, even though I absolutely have those tendencies.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I got a gate. I have multiple gates on my property.
This will preach, dude.
You know, I can close that sucker and stay there and eat my turkeys and hang out with my dogs and raise my kids. And, I mean, we're preppers. When COVID hit and nobody knew if the world was actually ending,
Shut it down.
we just stayed home. And it worked. Like, it was great. I mean, I've got semi-loads of food. That's not an exaggeration. Semi-loads of food. So, like, what do we need? The water comes out of the ground or it comes out of the sky. The electricity comes out of the sky. We got the food. It also comes out of the ground. You know, my food makes more food. That's how sheep and turkeys and chickens work. Like, I don't really have to go anywhere.
It's a wonderful system.
But it's great. But yet, here we are, you know, because the light's got to shine.
Yeah.
If you don't let the light shine, and you know how you've been to Home Depot, right? You ever been in the
I was
light?
there last night,
Yeah.
and in the light section.
In the light section. Thank you. So you'll understand this analogy. There's all different kinds of lights, right? And there's all different color light bulbs, right? Some of those light bulbs are really soft. They're nice.
Some
Right.
of them hurt.
Some of them are just too bright. It's like when you first wake up in the morning, you walk in the bathroom, you flip the light on, and you just, you know that?
See, but I like a light, like a bright light.
Can't see what
But
I'm
there's
doing.
an abrasive light that
Yep.
actually is painful, that has the same brightness,
Mm-hmm.
but it's got a different tone in it.
Yeah. Hi, me. My name's
Mhm.
Bear. And that's and that's my point,
True point.
right? Think about a surgical suite. How well lit and the task lighting that there has to be for
Oh,
that
yeah.
amount of precision that's required, because this is life and death, right?
Yep.
Like, can we do it with a candle? If we have to, what's the end result going to be? Man, I'd rather have so much white light on top of this thing that the patient's basically glowing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so we've all got a light. It's the Father's light. It's on loan from Him that flows through us and shines out through us. We also all have, like, we're different little lamps, you know what I mean? And we've got different colored bulbs in us. And so sometimes your light is exactly what's needed to go talk to this person because my light is too much.
Right.
Other times, like, I love it when Jody's, like, right on the verge of being pissed and he starts witnessing to somebody with a knife hand. And, like, he just starts glowing, right? It's like, you think, my light's bright? You should see that, right? And so, but the world needs that, and it's commanded of us, it's expected of us in Messiah that you'll let your light shine. And so being a recluse is something, I can do that. I've got that muscle. I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not serving the kingdom with my gates closed, if that makes sense.
Well, you
Parable
bring
of the talents.
Oof.
That's good. You bring up, light. First of all, we are created in His image, and the Creator of the universe, while He is all light, chooses to clothe Himself or wrap Himself in darkness. All the more be the light, right? Because that's what you were created to be, a light in the darkness. Then you also bring up the gates. Kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. When Scripture talks about gates, the gates of hell will not prevail against it, right? He says to Peter, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but the Spirit in heaven. So, what are gates? They're a defensive posture. So the gates of hell will not prevail against you. The defensive posture of hell will not prevail against you, which implies that you should be in an offensive force.
Well, what are we commanded to fear?
Yahweh.
That's it. Just that.
Yeah.
Just Him. That's it. And that's challenging at times. But be not afraid, right? 365 times in the Bible. Everybody loves to quote Joshua 1, right? Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Everybody, I've seen that on in more freaking houses than I can count. That one verse painted on like a board or something or hung up on the wall. Everybody takes that out of context because that's just what Christendom does these days.
Yeah.
Joshua 1. And it came to be after the death of Moshe, Moses, the servant of Yahweh, the Lord your God, that Yahweh spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, the assistant of Moshe, saying, Moshe, my servant, is dead. So now arise, pass over this Jordan, you and all this people, to the land which I am giving them, to the children of Israel. Okay, we could argue who that is till the cows come home. Every place on which the sole of your foot treads I have given you, as I spoke to Moshe, from the wilderness and this Lebanon, even as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, and all the land of the Hittites, and the great sea toward the going down of the sun is your border. No man is going to stand before you all the days of your life. As I was with Moshe, so I am with you. Do not fail you, nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you are to let this people inherit the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous, to guard to do according to all the Torah which Moshe my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it left or right, so that you act wisely wherever you go. Do not let this book of the Torah depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you guard to do according to all that is written in it. For then you shall make your way prosperous and act wisely. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for Yahweh your Elohim is with you wherever you go. So there's an if-then in there, and I want to be clear on this too. There's a lot of people in the air quote Torah observant movement that elevate the law above the lawgiver, and I don't think that that's right biblically. We were talking about this at Shabbat this past week. The ability to keep commands, no man can perfectly. If we could, we would not need Messiah, right? And I get, there's a lot of new people here, and I get a lot of people who say to me, oh my gosh, Bear, you're a Jew. Negative. I'm so Christian, the Christians don't like me anymore, okay?
It's true.
It's very true. And I'm not a simp for the nation state of Israel, for everybody who's concerned about that. If you've been here for any length of time, you're aware of that. We're nothing without Messiah. Without Messiah, we are lower than whale shit. With Messiah, we have access to this inheritance that we've been promised that is multifaceted, but it's, I think for the intents of our conversation today, it's this understanding of who we actually are. It's the identity as a son of the Most High, redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. For what purpose? For great things in the kingdom of Elohim. Not just during the millennial reign, not just in forever, but literally right now. Messiah tells us that faith the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain, and you will do all these things and more in my name, which is raising the dead, healing people, the lame walking again, the blind seeing. And we've become so distant from what it is that faith looks like, and so distant from the Creator and the Creator made flesh, that we second guess constantly. We're filled with fear, even though we're commanded to fear only Elohim. That when an opportunity arises to tell a demon to flee, or to tell the lame to walk, or the dead to rise, or the mountain to move, we're like, surely I can't do that. No, you can't. But the Spirit of the living God indwelt in you can. And that's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be conduits for that and that alone. I feel like I'm preaching now. I apologize.
Oh,
It's good.
we've been going.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is good.
Barb, what do you think about all this?
I think that I still lack in my understandings, big time, but I desire faith like a child. Man and I were talking about that the other night, and I'm fairly new to this walk, this side of the walk, I guess I should say, and so it's basically taking everything that I've learned and putting that to the side for a minute and relearning, and then kind of bringing back and figuring out what's what, where are we
Mhm.
really at? And so it's been a pretty awesome time. So when we get to sit down like this and I get to hear, I'm like, what? And then my brain starts rolling so fast trying to keep up that I lose track. So I have to listen again.
So salvation is freely given, right?
Yeah.
And it's not by works, so that no man can boast about it. By grace through faith we are saved, lest any man should boast, right? Our works are filthy rags. Cool, 100%. We can't work our way into the presence of the Most High. Salvation is by the blood of Christ. Period. The end. End of story. He is our atonement. But where people lack in understanding, to borrow a phrase from you, is what does sanctification look like? Should I be the same person that I was that Christ atoned for? Or should I be improving what my walk looks like after the model that we were given in the personage of Christ, God made flesh? I should be trying to improve who I am, right? And so we think about it on a timeline, like before you know Christ, your life is just full of sin. It's just one incidence of sin after the next, at least for me. I'll just speak for me. Total, like, heathen terrorist, me, right? Just horrendous human being. And then as you come to Christ, and then you're atoned for, right? There's a change in you. Not because of us, but because of Him. And there's an ideal to look towards. How do I conduct myself like this man who was God made flesh, who is God made flesh? How can I be more like Him? And so that's one of the often overlooked benefits of Christ is, what should I do? Remember those little "what would Jesus do" bracelets?
Right.
That, right? How would Christ handle this? How would Messiah conduct himself in this situation? Let me try and be more like that. And so we go from a pattern of behavior that's just sin to sin to sin to sin to sin to, if we look at it on the timeline, increasing the distance in between incidents of sin. Now, none of us are going to do this walk perfectly. Nobody's going to get it right. We can't get it right on our own. But we can get it more right, indwelt with the Spirit of the Most High, walking under the model of Messiah, to put as much distance in between us and sin as possible. And that's the sanctification process, which requires me to know what is sin? Which is one of the biggest challenges I had with the Christian church when I was going to regular Sunday church was, well, what is sin? And then people would say words to the effect of, well, it's when you miss the mark, brother. It's an archery term. It means to miss the mark. Okay, well, what's the mark? Well, it's what makes God happy. Okay, well, what's that? It's when we don't sin. Okay, well, what's sin? It's when we, and it was this circular reference that kept going around until, imagine this, I started reading the Bible for myself. It turns out there's a definition of what sin is.
Yeah.
Sin is lawlessness. This is in the New Testament, out of the mouth of the Apostle John. Sin is lawlessness, and all who do sin do lawlessness. 1 John 3, verse 4, which brings us to what Paul, Shaul of Tarsus, said, I knew not sin but by the law. So I got to know what the law is so that I can try to not break it. Try to.
Yeah.
And then people get wrapped around the axles. There's 613 commands. You can't do that.
It's like a million.
Well, I don't have to do 613.
Yeah.
Are you a Levite? Any of y'all Levites?
Nope.
Me either.
Not the last time I checked.
There goes 200 of them. Any of y'all females?
Nope.
That's another 100 of them gone. All right. And then it's like, well, what's left? Don't murder people. Don't steal. Don't commit adultery. Don't covet. Remember the Sabbath day. There is no God but God. Don't take His name in vain, which means don't put His stamp of approval on your own personal BS.
You mean it's literally just how to appropriately love the Father and how to appropriately love people?
Matthew 22:36. On this hangs all the Torah and the prophets.
Right.
Love God with everything that you've got. Love your neighbor as yourself. Half of the commands are how to love God with everything that you've got. The other half of the commands are how to love your neighbor as yourself. So much so that it's like, hey, if you have a roof and you hang out on your roof, put a railing up so that your friends don't fall off of it. Oh, the burden of this law.
I know,
I
that's crazy.
just can't, right? By the way, go camping with your homies for a week a year.
Mm.
All right.
Can't wait.
Eat sheep. Check. Right? And so none of that matters without the atoning sacrifice of Christ.
Yep.
Right.
But in the process of trying to become more Christ-like, where I need to reduce the incidence of sin in my life, I need to know what the left and right limits are. And so that's how the Torah functions. So much so that Paul refers to the Torah as a trainer unto Messiah, right? You had the Torah, now you have Messiah. He had a different audience back in that day. But all that to say, I don't know that it's possible to keep any of those commands without the indwelling of the Spirit. Right? And then, but once you have that indwelling of the Spirit, those just become how one conducts themselves, so that the light shines brighter, so that when you go out in the world, how many times have we been somewhere doing something and people go, we never met before, doing a grindstone thing? I've had it happen to me doing Caleb House stuff. Something about you, man. What is it?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All the time. And that's not because we're cool.
Not at all.
It's because he's the
Yeah.
coolest ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just a little sliver of him shining through. People go, I don't know, man, I don't know what you got, but I want some of it.
So, since you brought up lawlessness, how many times is lawlessness used in the Word? And what is the context of what it's using it for? We've got the lawless one, Hasatan, right? We've got lawlessness. There's a bunch of really.
I'm gonna go handle something at the other office. I'll be right back.
We've got all kinds.
By the way, never show up uninvited to where I am, especially if you've been trespassed before. It's a great way to get ventilated. I'll be right back.
You good?
Yep.
All right.
If I'm not, I'll text y'all.
Copy.
I got machine guns over there.
I'm up. So, I like when we talk about lawlessness, because sin is lawlessness, but if you talk about how many times is that used in the context of what it's used, because it's super important for if you're new to your walk and you're trying to study the Word and trying to figure out what's sin and all these things. These things are all little unlock codes to paving on who we are as a people. You know, if like you're a believer in Messiah, you're grafted into Israel. If we're not, then why does it say so? Like we have the commonwealth of Israel that talks about in Ephesians 2.
Yeah.
And that's like all these little unlocks, they all kind of paint the same picture, like who are you, right? But if lawlessness is sin, right? If we're doing lawlessness, we're committing sin, right? It's like breaking the instructions. For me, when I heard law, I was so, I don't like the law. I'm kind of an outlaw, right? So I didn't want to hear that. But the word in Hebrew is Torah. And it doesn't start, that definition of the word doesn't start with law. It actually ends with law. It actually starts with instruction.
That's right.
And so if you can look at it, if you're going to break the Father's instructions, that's sin. And so as simple as that is as simple as what he means by it.
Yeah.
It's firm like a law, but it's his loving instruction. And it started with Adam and Eve, same thing. He said, do this, don't do this. And then they went against it, consequence.
So think of, we've all, built some form of furniture, right?
Yep.
And they all come with instructions.
Ah, there you go.
Right. So if you deter away from the instructions, the likelihood of you ending up with something that is unintentional for what the instructions provide to this intended piece of furniture, you're going to miss something. You're going to end up with something that should not be. Right?
Yep.
It's the same thing with the Father. It's the same thing with his law, his instruction. So if we have his law and his instruction, his intended purpose for that is literally to perpetuate good for us across the board. It is good for us that we obey.
There's parameters. And what the awesome thing for me coming into the understanding that I have now, which is I have the testimony of Jesus, right? I have the testimony of Yeshua, but I also keep the commandments. It took an act of the Father to get me there, right? But it didn't come through somebody telling me that. It came through me reading and being convicted and responding to the conviction. Because you can't just do this stuff like, well, I hear it and it sounds good, so I'm going to do it. If you have no conviction, it may not stick. Make sure that you understand.
and this is a good point, because how many times for you, and you as well, Barb, did you just take somebody's word for it?
Too many.
Now, how many times did a tangible change come when you heard somebody say something? You're like, it doesn't say that. And then you read it and you're like, oh, it does.
Yeah. Context is key, brother.
Right?
Yeah.
It's incredibly important that we don't just don't take our words for it.
Yeah,
guys.
read it for yourself.
Read the word for yourself.
That's the biggest thing that, when y'all started witnessing to me, it was like, dude, where's the context in that? So I'd start going back and looking at it and be like, okay, so what I always thought, this verse was saying, well, if you go back to the beginning of, or even 2 chapters back to get the whole entire story, now you learn the context of it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah. And
Without that, then it's just, hey, mom went to the grocery store. Why'd you go to the grocery store? What was the purpose of it? Do we have friends coming over, or is it just getting stuff for the week?
Right. Right.
yeah, and I can't tell you enough. Every time I went back, when somebody would say something and I proof text it, and I'd go, the whole chapter before that verse or even after, just to get the context. It's like little stuff that I didn't know that I was indoctrinated with was there. I had a buddy over for a couple weeks, help me on a project, and I asked him a simple question that most people in Christianity really think they know the answer to. It's like, how many animals went on the ark?
Yeah.
How many pairs? And everybody's like 2 by 2. It's because that's the songs we sang.
Yeah.
Went on 2 by 2, but read it, because it's 2 pairs of unclean and 7 pairs of clean. And people are like, it says that? And it's like, yeah, it does.
So it kind of changes things.
Changes things quite a bit, especially since they didn't have the written Torah then.
Mm-hmm.
And so from the beginning, even Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve's kids, Cain and Abel knew to bring an offering to the Father.
Yeah.
They knew out of the gate because he had already told them. He was walking amongst Adam and Eve. Like, they knew the rules, and these were handed down for a long time. Like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
And that's it. And so his people have always had instructions to follow as a guide.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the Torah is. That's what the law is. It's a lamp to our feet so that we know how to navigate through this stuff. Because
Right.
without it, how are you holy? If you're a holy people and we know we're supposed to be holy, how are you holy? Which means set apart. How are we different from everybody else?
Yeah.
And that all these little pieces started to unlock and started to paint this beautiful picture. And the Bible's kind of a love story of how much the Father loves his people and how much patience and grace that he has. And then, like, when he's had enough and you've all the way just gone away, like, there's consequences, But like T was pointing to, like, none of these works get us salvation.
Not at all.
They don't get us salvation.
No.
I do these because I have faith and because I love him.
So the works should be an evidence of your belief.
That's the fruit.
That's the fruit. If you're a tree that's bearing good fruit, James chapter 2 says, you say you have faith, but you don't have works.
Mm-hmm.
I show my faith is on display for all to see simply by the things that I do.
Yep.
You can tell I believe a certain way simply because of what it is that I execute on.
One of our brothers, my first deployment I went on, I was witnessing to a guy, and solid dude, Brennan,
Mm-hmm.
and
I love Brennan, man.
he hadn't picked up
If
a
you're watching,
Bible.
I love you, dude.
Yeah, I love you, brother. He hadn't picked up a Bible since he was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
Because he saw the hypocrisy in modern day religion, and he's like, this is the first time that I've seen people that say they believe in Jesus actually do what the Bible says to do. And he goes, I can't argue with you guys because everything that I argue with most Christians, you guys are already doing. And that's it. Read the book, do what it says, like Kelt says. That's like one of my favorite things he says.
Yeah.
Read the book, do what it says. It's that simple.
Yep.
Ready
Absolutely.
for that commercial?
Yeah, we can go to commercial. And while Dud's getting that ready,
There it is.
I was
Almost.
just going to say, and since Dud's got it ready, there is the law. A lot in Christianity, individuals say, oh, well, that's just the moral law that we have to keep. Much of the law, like T brought up, pertains to only the Levitical priesthood. That's like 200 commands out of the 613, quote unquote.
Yep.
The rest literally hangs on how we love people and how we love the Father.
Amen.
So it's not just the moral law. Yes, the moral law is incredibly important. Don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal, and a lot of it's very practical, tactical, situationally based. Hey, what do I do if my dog bites your child?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
That's in the Word.
Yep.
It tells us how we are to execute on that.
Yep.
Right? So it's very practical, very straightforward. And then, the rest is his Moedim, right? Leviticus 23. Yeah, it's in the Levitical law. However, it's pertinent not just for the Aaronic priesthood, but for all mankind. If you fall under this identity of being grafted into Israel, because if you say you believe in Jesus, that's what you are. You're grafted into that tree that is Israel.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing in context, and we don't have time for that conversation. But that's what you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying we are no longer Gentile. Gentile, the word in and of itself, literally means man out of covenant or nation out of covenant. So if you are choosing to be a believer in Jesus Christ, the Messiah, the one and only begotten Son of the Most High living God, if you are choosing to believe in Him and live your life according to His ways, you are in covenant. Therefore, you cannot be a Gentile.
Yep. Read Jeremiah 31:31 and keep reading. You will get it, because that's who it's with. It's with Judah and Israel. That's it.
Doug, roll that beautiful bean footage.
Hey everyone, it's Lissa with Caleb House, giving you a little update on the construction front over this summer. We have the majority of the materials needed for our next building to be dried in on site, which is really exciting to get that sealed from the weather before it starts to turn this fall and gets a bit more unpredictable. So we'll have plenty of work lined up for this winter, which is fantastic. We've also had a ton of ongoing dirt work, both to get needed infrastructure in the ground, but also to make the place look more like a national park and really work on beautification. We very much want this to feel like a retreat space while using the elements that we already have, and that has been going really well. I'm very impressed with the improvement in that over this summer. Our construction team is very much looking forward to the cooler weather, things not being in the hundreds anymore. So if you could continue to pray for us that we would be resilient through this, but also that the weather would turn here shortly. If you are interested in coming to volunteer on the construction teams, you can email me, volunteers@calebhouse.org. And if you are interested or have connections to people who are able to do in-kind donations of construction materials, you can also email me there. I would love to talk to you about how you'd like to partner with us and how we can move forward together.
Hey, this is Amy with Grindstone Ministries for a mindful moment, where we take 2 minutes to apply psychological principles in Scripture to our daily lives. Today we're going to read in Romans 5:3-5. We also delight in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. So what is perseverance? Perseverance is grit. It's the willingness to continually suffer to reach a long-term goal. It's a skill that's developed and enhanced by a positive mental attitude. See, the world has trained our brains with all types of instant gratification. It's trained us that we don't have to work hard to receive the quick fix of dopamine that makes us feel successful. But Scripture shows us that having a growth mindset is the real key to success and true happiness. When we overcome obstacles and learn and grow from them, we develop a stronger resolve, and we're able to persevere even more. But when we get frustrated and angry, our ability for effective problem solving is hindered. The amygdala overpowers the prefrontal cortex, and ideas like, if this isn't going to give me what I would need right now, it's not even worth pursuing because nothing ever changes. It's the mindset of the helplessness and hopelessness of the world. But Yah says that when we delight in our sufferings, this initiates the process of growth, framing the attitude through which perseverance is even possible. With consistent perseverance, our character is strengthened and characterized by resilience. It leads to a firm belief in a better future outcome, ending in hope. So the next time life throws you lemons, don't just make lemonade and move on. Try to really appreciate the value in the experience and figure out how it might help you or help someone else in the future grow closer to Yah. Remember, there's only 3 rules, and not quitting is one of them. So if you'd like to donate or volunteer and help us be the hands and feet of the Father when disaster strikes, please visit us at www.grindstoneministries.com.
And we're done.
And we're back.
Yes, we're back. We're back. Hi, guys. Thanks for holding the fort down for
That's
a minute.
good, yeah.
We had a great discussion.
We did,
Now I'm curious.
yeah.
We're all curious.
Yeah. We're all just...
Should I dox this MF?
Yes.
If I have looked you in the eye and told you never come here again, so the internet's here, so I have to be careful what I say. If I have looked you in the eye and said, never come here again, or else, and then you come here again, that's what we call natural selection. Okay?
That tracks.
Do not fuck with people I love. The end.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will fuck back, and I'm better at it than you. Okay? We're better at it than you are. You don't want the smoke.
Any of us.
Just, there's no 3 strikes and you're out. There's 1 warning. So, hi everybody. Anyway, how about that light? You know?
Saying you
Painful
got a
light.
good memory.
Painful light's bright right
now we're
now.
in Revelation 19, aren't we?
Oof.
Oof.
You know, the first time Jesus he came, he entered in through the gates on a donkey, right?
You sure
Next
did.
time he comes, when he comes on the clouds with great power and glory, he's riding a horse. That means war. He's coming to make war, which, coincidentally, that's what, the people of Israel believed was going to happen. He was going to come make war with the enemies of Israel and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Pino, Come Make War.
Dude,
Good track.
I know. I love it.
I learned about it from you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so when a king would enter a city, if he entered a city on a donkey, it meant he came in peace.
That's right.
If he entered on a horse or he approached the city on a horse, that meant war. Right? So it's a very easy visual indicator as to what is the status of the situation that I'm about to get in.
Yep.
Is it war or is it peace? Revelation 19, after this, I heard a loud voice with a great crowd in the heavens saying, Hallelujah! Deliverance and esteem and respect and power to Yahweh or Elohim, because true and righteous are his judgments. Because he has judged the great whore who corrupted the earth with her whoring, and he has avenged on her the blood of his servants shed by her. And a second time they said, Hallelujah! And her smoke rises up forever and ever. And the 24 elders and the 4 living creatures fell down and worshipped Elohim, who sat on the throne, saying, Amen, Hallelujah. And a voice came from the throne saying, Praise our Elohim, all you his servants, and those who fear him, both small and great.
Yeah.
And I heard the voice of a great crowd and the sound of many waters as the sound of mighty thunder saying, Hallelujah, for Yahweh El Shaddai reigns. Let us be glad and rejoice and give him praise, for the marriage of the Lamb has come, and his wife has prepared herself. And to her it was given to be dressed in fine linen, clean and bright, for the fine linen is the righteousness of the set-apart ones. And he said to me, Right, blessed are those who have been called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he said to me, These are true words of Elohim. And I fell at his feet to worship him. But he said to me, See, do not do it. I am your fellow servant and of your brothers who possess the witness of Yeshua. Worship Elohim. For the witness of Yeshua is the spirit of prophecy. And I saw the heaven open. There was a white horse, and he who sat on him was called trustworthy and true. And in righteousness he judges and makes war. And his eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head many crowns, having a name that had been written, which no one had perceived except himself. And having been dressed in a robe dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies in the heaven, dressed in fine linen, white and clean, followed him on white horses, war. And out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations. And he shall shepherd them with a rod of iron. And he treads the winepress of the fierceness and wrath of El Shaddai. And on his robe and on his thigh he has a name written, King of Kings and Master of Masters. And I saw one messenger standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the birds that fly in mid-heaven, Come and gather together for the supper of the great Elohim, to eat the flesh of the kings, the flesh of commanders, and the flesh of strong ones, and the flesh of horses, and of those who sit on them, and the flesh of all people, free and slave, both small and great. I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to fight him who sat on the horse and his army. And the beast was seized, and with him the false prophet who worked signs in his presence, by which he led astray those who received the mark of the beast and those who worshipped his image. The two were thrown alive into the lake of fire burning with sulfur, and the rest were killed with the sword which came from the mouth of him who sat on the horse, and all the birds were filled with their flesh. That's the second coming, for those that are unaware.
Yeshua ben David.
King of Kings, Master of Masters. Bird food. We have a choice. Do I want to be on Team Yeshua, or do I want to be on Team Bird Food? I want to be on Team Yeshua.
Yeah.
Because these level 4 plates will not help me in that day. Won't do it. Won't do it. The only thing that will matter is what these plates are covering up, which is my heart. That's it. That's it. It's the only hope that any of us have, is heart condition.
Yep.
Which is indicated by our obedience and our works. That's why Messiah says, Behold, I come swiftly to reward each man according to his works. You shall know them by their fruits. That's why James says, you say you have faith, I will show you my faith by my works. What do?
We literally talked about this while you were gone.
Yeah, dude.
Forsaking not the widow and the orphan, man.
Yes,
like
sir.
loving your neighbor as yourself, loving God with everything that you've got. It should be evident. What you believe should be evident by how you conduct yourself, which goes all the way back to that poor kid on the Minnesota Vikings. What you believe should be evident by how you conduct yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Do I take seriously the responsibility that I have for the people that I love? Yeah, I just showed you that. Just bounced out of here because there was a threat at the office. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I take that really seriously. The people that I am blessed to have in my life in whatever capacity, whether they're friends or family or congregation or tribe or in any part of what we call the enterprise of Bear Independent and Refuge and Caleb House and Grindstone, like they're my people. They're Yah's people, but I have responsibility for those people.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel it. I wear it. I live it.
Yeah.
I feel that rests on my shoulders more than these straps ever will. Right? I take it really seriously. So don't, I beg of you, even propose to pose a threat to somebody that I love. Bird food in the model of Messiah. And that's not something that's taught on Sunday mornings, but it ought to be taught more. And because I think one of the things that the church has done a terrible job at is ministering to the people who have made a career out of bird food and protecting and serving, right? And how many of those guys have we worked with, do we work with, that have blood guilt from the things that they've had to do for their job, who believe they're beyond redemption because they've never been taught the difference between thou shalt not kill and thou shalt not murder.
Yep.
Right? It's like, well, it actually says thou shalt not murder.
There's a difference. There's provision in Scripture for killing righteously and justly.
And that doesn't mean that you don't have blood guilt. That blood guilt is still real.
Absolutely.
You still did some stuff, right?
Absolutely.
But there is atonement for that too. There's not a thing that we are capable of doing in this life that can completely separate us from the Most High other than rejecting Him, which is hard.
Yeah.
Once you've decided, and then even then, man, I was in a decade of apostasy. I ran away for a decade with 2 middle fingers waving in the air. And the Father was like, okay, that's cute. Are you over your temper tantrum now?
Yeah.
You're going to throw a decade-long temper tantrum? Stop. You're embarrassing yourself. You look like shit, kid. All right? Are you going to come home? Are you going to clean your room? Do you want to eat some dinner? I'm like, yes, all of the above. Please and thank you. So.
Now have a cookie.
Now have a cookie. Yeah. So anyway, great show we're doing this morning. You guys want to pivot real quick?
Yeah.
Send it.
Have you seen any of the analysis on the Putin-Trump get-together in Alaska?
What?
I started digging in.
I started digging into it.
I started digging last night and didn't really find a whole lot more than just kind of what the media wants to share.
So
Yeah.
I was driving yesterday, had a little bit of windshield time, and I was listening to the President's Daily Brief with Mike Baker, who, again, just because I mentioned somebody doesn't mean I condone them. And he had an analyst on the show that was talking about Putin. Guy wrote his doctorate and master's thesis on Putin and Russian foreign relations, the whole nine. He's also a journalist embedded in Ukraine, has been for years. Really interesting fella. And the point that he was making was, there's no way that the person who went to Alaska was Vladimir Putin. I was like, how interesting. And he goes, well, for starters, the Japanese use their facial recognition software that they use at their airports, and compared the guy who was in Alaska against known pictures of Vladimir Putin, less than 15% match. So, and then the guy went into the idea that Putin is so paranoid, specifically about germs, that in order for anybody to meet with Putin face to face, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks prior to, just to make sure that they're not sick, just to meet with Putin. Now, this is all single source. I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
That dude's like ability to not be sick has got to be like minuscule.
Yeah, it has
Like,
no.
his body is so freaking weak. If that's the case,
Yep.
no immune system whatsoever.
Well, there's something to that too, though, right? He's 72 years old, I think.
You're also
something like that.
dealing with a man who's conducting war
Mhm.
and a certain level of paranoia, and he's the master chief, or
Yep. Yeah.
like
Commander in chief.
Thank you,
Yeah.
commander in chief. He's the commander in chief of his armies, his navies, his military complex as a whole. Like, he's the one. If he goes down, I can't really take away, from him the idea of paranoia,
Yep.
especially when he's dealing with things on a level that he's dealing with.
He also, like, former director of the KGB,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
like spy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you get on an airplane, go to Alaska, get in the presidential limo, like all of that? And what I think's interesting is, so bottom line up front, I'm now reasonably convinced that wasn't Putin based upon this reporting, although it's being called a conspiracy theory. in the mainstream media that it wasn't Putin. Even though, again, the facial recognition, different earlobes, different eyes, not the guy. Didn't say much, had many different mannerisms. Why would Putin go? But then is Trump, what does Trump do now? Because if that wasn't Putin, they didn't send Putin, they sent a body double. Okay, for what? Right? Does Trump choose to be insulted by that? Does he even bring it up? Oh, I met with Vladimir, he's a great guy, we had really good talks in Alaska. Like, no, you didn't. That's not the guy. You know? Or does it?
Unless there's legitimacy to it, like, unless he knows that, he sent an emissary.
Yeah.
Maybe they had a phone call. Who knows?
And the body double was, for publicity purposes.
And that's the other thing is like, is it just for show? Is it just to say, yeah, I met with Putin?
Right.
Yeah, we're working on it. I don't know. That my whole thing with the Ukraine war, for those that are new, maybe haven't been here for a while, if I'm being completely honest, I don't care. I have no dog in the fight other than two strategic considerations. The first is, I do not want my children, or your children going over there to bleed and die half a world away for a fight that's not ours. I can't condone that, so that Lindsey Graham can get his $13 trillion worth of minerals out from underneath the ground. I just can't. I can't stomach that. I will not continue to feed children into the belly of Moloch so that the military-industrial complex will continue to grow rich. That's different than an existential threat, which Russia and Ukraine is not. An existential threat, we have a duty to protect the women and children.
Yeah.
One could argue we have a duty to protect the United States of America. Freaking Italy has a larger economy than Russia does. Okay? When was the last time you're like, Italy has the potential to be an existential threat to the United States of America? Never.
Giggles.
Never. Giggle. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. With what? Pasta? What are they going to do? You know what I mean? They're throwing meatballs again.
Arguably, some of the, when you think about fine furniture, Italian. When you
Fair.
think about fine vehicles, the highest dollar vehicles, Italian.
Fewer cruises.
Right.
So,
Thumbs up to that.
yeah. I'm just saying, like
they're busy working.
yeah, so, yeah, right. Somebody's got to make the prosciutto, And so Italy has a larger economy than Russia does. Okay? But the reporting has tried to make this Russia versus Ukraine thing into an existential threat, as if Russia is still the USSR, and they're not. Because if they were, then Ukraine would be part of them anyway. It's a different conversation. I'm not for sending anyone's children over there to bleed and die in that conflict.
Yeah.
And I'm not for paying for it. We've sent, it depends on who you ask, hundreds of billions of dollars into that conflict, more than half of which never even made it there, ended up getting funneled back to the United States, washed through Act Blue, Democratic Party. That's why, there was these Trump protests in D.C. yesterday. Yeah, they're paid actors. Literally, they're paid actors. Where'd the money come from? It was appropriated for Ukraine. It made it there, and then, it turned around and came back home again, and now it's being used for this thing over on the side. That's why the early days of this Trump 2.0 administration with the State Department being shut down and USAID, right?
Yep.
All these different USAID outfits. It turns out all that is just shenanigans that we fund with taxpayer dollars all around the globe, most of which actually degrade American society. So I'm not for that either. I don't want good Ukrainians to get killed. I don't want good Russians to get killed, just like I don't want good Israelis to get killed, and I don't want good Palestinians to get killed. I don't want there shouldn't be wanton death by which some global corp profits.
Yeah.
So my interest here would be, yes, end the war as soon as possible. Which brings us to the Europeans are now saying, well, if the U.S. won't get involved, can't stop the thing, we will provide security agreements to Russia, specifically France and England, Britain. Here's my problem with that. Article 5. You guys know what Article 5 is? Okay. An attack on one is an attack on all.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
NATO.
So we put some Brits over in Ukraine, and they get smoked by some Russians. Then the Brits start ringing the bell. Hey, we need help because the Russians are killing our people. We are required per Article 5 to assist them. How we assist them can vary from materiel all the way up to open conflict.
Right.
But everybody's screaming for, we need American boots on the ground. Why?
Why American? How
Well,
many
'cause we're
other
the-
nations are in NATO?
Well, because America is also in NATO, most of the other NATO nations have they've taken their economy and instead of putting it into defense, have put it into social programs, which is why they're overrun with people that are on universal basic income and a bunch of foreigners sweeping into their country and taking over, which Britain may explode here in the near future anyway. There's a whole lot of, immigrant versus, what would you even call them? People who are already there. Indigenous folk? A whole lot of that going down. I don't know. You guys have any thoughts about the Ukraine war?
Nope.
I think there's a lot of publicity stunt.
Yeah.
As far as the summit that just happened.
Yeah.
Every time something big like that happens, I start looking at the sidelines.
Yep.
What's happening behind the scenes? What's all the weird stuff that's actually happening? What are they trying to distract us from?
It's a narrative that's just been played out. I mean, for as long as I've been alive, there's been issues with NATO Ukraine.
Yep.
Corruption within Ukraine. Sorry, I'm best with names. Anyways, it's just played out. I think that they're fighting as hard as they can. The grand whomever they are, right, to perpetuate a narrative so that they can funnel as much money and keep as much nonsense going as possible. And I'm not a Trump apologist by any means, but how much of them are trying to perpetuate a further narrative against Trump and everything else that's just been going on. And of course, naturally, it's two wings of the same bird and all of that. There's just way more that meets the eye, and I think that they should potentially just move on to something else. Like our specific economy and the banking rails worldwide that's changing and all of that. Let's actually talk about things that's legitimately important to us.
Yeah, let's do things that actually affect the homeland.
Yeah.
Right? Not that I think federal dollars should be... I got a problem with spending federal dollars on pretty much anything other than defense and maybe infrastructure. But call it $200 billion sent to Ukraine. All right. How many homeless veterans are there? How many single moms are there that are in a bad position that, you know what I mean?
That aren't taking advantage of
That aren't taking advantage. How many homeless people are there that could actually benefit from a little bit of help, right? We talked about this, a week or two ago?
Yeah.
Building small, tiny homeless communities.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing, right? What about the crumbling infrastructure in the country? Bridges and tunnels and power lines, which nobody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
But man, I have worked on power lines that are older than everybody in this room that nobody has seen since they were built.
Yeah.
It's this thing's just going to fall over. And then what happens, right?
Or what about, how many 1 in 1,000-year floods if we had.
Oh my
4 of them
goodness.
this year.
Non-stop.
Yep.
Just like,
Yep.
what about those folks?
Mm-hmm.
FEMA's certainly not, you know,
That's
FEMA's
a-
not what everybody thinks it is, for
No,
one.
it's not.
But, you know,
It's a great
$200
word.
billion.
It's a great word.
But everybody in government is so two-faced, it's not even funny. Speaking of that, I had mentioned I had something on brief.
Yeah.
So Trump is putting all these guys into D.C., right? And they're talking about going to a few other cities they've got in their sights.
Uh-huh.
Newsom
Yes, you did mention this.
Newsom from gov.ca.gov, his own website, is filing an FOIA request on Trump administration misuse of federal agents at redistricting event. And now I quote, pulling them from important enforcement work at the border to stop illegal trafficking. So he wants to bring in all the extra people that give votes, but then the moment Trump does something that he can talk bad on, wait, why are you taking him away from stopping everything that,
Yeah.
at the border,
Two-faced
even though he's
assholes.
doing it? So I say all that to your point, everything that you watch in government, or I watch personally,
Mm-hmm.
everything is two-faced,
Oh, yeah.
every direction.
At
It's
a
all
minimum.
sleight of hand. You know, pay attention to what's happening over here while I do this on this
Mhm.
backside over here. You need to pay attention right here. This is so incredibly important. Meanwhile, they're flipping the script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and so we only know what we're told.
Right?
Right, so that's a huge part of it, right? Jim Marrs, M-A-R-R-S, author, great author. He's now passed, but he wrote a book called Rule by Secrecy, and in that he was talking about the media. In one chapter, talking about the media, and he had this quote, man, it's phenomenal. The media can't tell you what to think, but it can tell you what to think about.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And that's really important. And then there's people who, they go on these truth hunts, right? They're red-pilled. Man, I got to get all the facts. And I respect that. Good. But just because you have dove as deep as you possibly can into that rabbit hole, found as much information as possible, just because the information has been exhausted doesn't mean that's all the information. That's just all the information that's out there. And then you get into, well, why is that information out there? Carefully crafted narratives, right? Point, counterpoint, all of which serves to polarize people. You're a Democrat or you're a Republican. You're a Christian or you're a Muslim. Israel or Palestine. Russia or Ukraine. China or America, up or down, black or white, left or right. You know, like all that is all polarizing. And I think the reason for that is it takes a critical mass of people to overthrow a tyrannical government. Facts.
Yep.
We have one.
Yep.
It's soft right now. It's soft tyranny. But we have one. We've had one, at least as long as I've been alive, that I've been aware of it. There's things you're not allowed to say. We have executive orders about using certain words that totally violate the First Amendment. You got to pay a tax and get your shit on a registry for the Second Amendment. If you did a crime years ago and you did your time, you still don't have your Second Amendment rights restored.
Right.
Right? Okay, what about that? You can go down the Bill of Rights and just look through and go, what about the Fourth Amendment? Everybody's collecting on everything. The reason we all have these cell phones is not because they're good for you, it's because you create a digital exhaust that gives you an individual ID that makes it incredibly easy to track you. That's why. And that's any free app, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, YouTube, whatever it is, all of them, they're all collecting that digital exhaust, that individual data. And what they're looking at is your habits as an individual so that they can appropriately market to you.
Right.
Okay, but you signed the user agreement, so you've opted in for it.
Yeah.
Okay, and on and on and on down the line. We have soft tyranny, and here's the thing: people, the populace, will allow the soft tyranny when the economy is good. They will, because a good economy glazes over all this other bullshit. The economy's not good; it hasn't been good for a long time. It's not as bad as it could be, but it's not nearly as good as it could be either. Right? We live in a free society, but one man, Jerome Powell, gets to decide what the interest rate is for 340 million people, plus the dollar as the reserve currency for the world. Not one guy gets to pull that string. Doesn't sound terribly free to me. And so at some point, enough people are going to catch on to, shenanigans abound. What are we going to do about this? Right. And the way they keep a critical mass, one of the ways they keep a critical mass from coalescing to be able to push back is by dividing everybody about everything. Yeah. And we've gotten so soft as a society that if somebody says a series of words that you don't agree with, block, ban, delete, you never have anything to do with them again. I hate that guy because he has a difference of opinion.
Confrontation is healthy if done correctly.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
We've had entire blocks of instruction on that at Refuge about what healthy confrontation looks like.
Yep.
It's driving towards the truth, but it requires, I've got to subordinate my ego, and you've got to subordinate yours.
See, the thing is, words mean something, and people all too often misconstrue the idea of confrontation for altercation.
That's a good
They're
word.
not even remotely the same.
It's a good word.
Confrontation, there is constructive criticism that comes out of that, and it's a learning opportunity. It is a necessary friction. It is iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
So confrontation is incredibly important. And I wanted to bring something up since we were on this subject. Y'all know the song "Waiting on the World to Change," John Mayer.
Uh-huh.
Have y'all ever paid attention to the lyrics of that?
Never.
No.
So I'm just going to read the verses. There's only 2 verses, and of course everybody knows the chorus. But verse 1 says, "Me and all my friends, we're all misunderstood. They say we stand for nothing, and there's no way we ever could. Now we see everything that's going wrong with the world and those who lead it. We just feel like we don't have the means to rise above and beat it." Incredibly true. But then verse 2 gets into why. "Now if we had the power to bring our neighbors home from war, they would have never missed a Christmas. No more ribbons on their door. And when you trust your television, what you get is what you got, because when they own the information, they can bend it all they want." And that's exactly the point. So many people, and this is a popular song, and how many people have just listened to this song, never paid attention to the point of what it was written for. It's so catchy. It's such a good song. Oh, I love John Mayer. He's such a good guitar player. He's so cute, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
All of the nonsense without ever paying attention to legitimate.
We like the cops here.
This is life.
Yeah, welcome to Refuge. Happy Monday, everybody. Partner classes up in Indianapolis, a 1-day and a 2-day TAC Med class for civilian law enforcement, whatever. All these classes, by the way, have their Oklahoma cleat numbers as well, so you get continuing education credits for these classes. I think that's really important to point out.
That's huge.
It's a really big deal. So if you're a law enforcement officer who most cops don't know medicine, and it's not on you, you weren't taught it, but you want to learn some medicine, and especially as a cop, most likely casualty is going to be yourself. So you need to know how to fix that problem.
Yeah, cops got shot in the arm.
How many cops have we shot in the arm? All of them?
All of them.
All of them.
Training cops. Yeah.
Last night there were, I forgot what state, there were some officers assassinated, and then in Enid, Oklahoma, a security guard and a police officer was shot.
Yeah. It'd be wild out there, yo. So we've got classes in Indy. We've got classes here in Oklahoma as well. October 26th and 27th, we got a 2-day class here. And then November 9th, 10th, and 11th, we've got a 3-day train the trainer here as well. There are prereqs for train the trainer. So if you want to come to class, just reach out to us. refugemedical.com. Call us, shoot us an email, tappy tap in the chat. And we are within we're like a hair's breadth away from order number 50,000 at Refuge, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And whoever orders the 50,000th order, your order's free. You're gonna get a full refund up to $1,500. So
Does that go towards training?
yeah, any order,
What an opportunity, man.
any order, whatever's
Somebody
on that.
orders a wilderness responder, and all of a sudden you get $1,500 off of it.
That's huge.
That's incredible.
That's a great idea. I hadn't thought about
What a
that.
deal.
What a deal. So yeah, we've got all kinds of stuff going on at Refuge. We make the best first aid kits on planet Earth. When I say we make them, I don't mean that we buy somebody else's bags and then stuff some shit in them. We make the bags. We guarantee them forever. If you break them, it will be replaced at no cost to you, no questions asked. 151 lives saved to date as of this recording. All branches of the U.S. Armed Forces, 4 continents. That's just they work. And so thank you to everybody who's gotten us to 50,000 orders in under 5 years. That's incredible. It's an honor. It's an absolute honor. I started this thing in my barn with duct tape and a pizza box lid. That's how I prototyped the first Bear Fact. For real. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I cut the lid of a pizza box apart because I needed the cardboard to work with. And
Hey, cardboard's a great template.
yeah, man.
Fabricating, that's all we did.
That and duct tape. And I was like, it's got to look like this and it's got to do this. And and here we are. So check us out. You know, if you need something, whether that's civilian or EMS or fire department or law enforcement or DOD personnel or whatever your background is, we've got something for you. And if there's something you need that's not on the website, if it exists on planet Earth in the medical space, I can get it. So we do a lot of that for people as well. Like, I need this weird esoteric thing. No problem. Just call the store, shoot us an email. We'll get it for you. That's refugemedical.com. Grindstone Ministries. Did we roll anything for Grindstone today?
Yes.
We did? Awesome.
And KH.
Good. There's links down in the description, grindstoneministries.com if your love language is chainsaws and diesel fuel. If you want to help people who've lost everything and probably get help yourself in the process, grindstoneministries.com. Caleb House, Caleb with a K, calebhouse.org is our counter-trafficking ministry. And unlike a lot of people that talk about doing it, we actually do it. And we also restore these kiddos, put them back together again. So if you're interested in learning more about that, Caleb with a K, calebhouse.org. Links to Patreon is down in the description, or just go into bearindependent.com for swag, Patreon, whatever. Again, shout out to the patrons. You're the economic engine of the Bear Nation. We would have stopped doing this show probably at least 2 years ago if it wasn't for y'all. So we appreciate you deeply. And thank you to everybody on X, the new platform there. Decided this past Wednesday, I was at 100 subscribers on X, or followers, or whatever they call it over there. So you know what? We're going to start building on X. We're at 1,100 this morning.
Good call, man.
Put 1,000 on
That's awesome.
already.
That's awesome.
So if you can help share this out, that's how it grows. And again, the stated intent here at this channel is number one, to bring glory to the Most High. Number two, to allow you to operate in the truth of who you were made to be in the Most High. Number three, to serve his kingdom as a father, as a husband, as a son. Whatever you do with your hands or with your brain for work, the words that come out of your mouth, and more importantly, the actions that you undertake in the model of Christ. That's what we're here for. That's what this channel is about. We make lots of people uncomfortable. That's okay. Uncomfortable is good. That's where the growth is. Piss a lot of people off. Cool. Check your ego, homie. That's what we're about here. I'm Bear from the internet. Who are you?
I'm Heath.
You got anything going on you want to tell the people about?
Yeah, I've got a YouTube channel, Tactically Torah. I just did an awesome video on the rapture in context and what that looks like. It's about an hour and a half long.
Yes.
If you haven't had an opportunity
yes.
to look into it, I recommend it.
Remember earlier when he said we don't have enough time in this conversation right now to be able to get into that topic? That's the channel you go to get into that topic.
Tactically Torah on YouTube. Awesome. Barb, you got anything you want to talk about? Who are you?
Just a nobody.
We like you, though.
I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, you do. Glad you're here.
Just a solid dude.
Yeah, you are.
Eh.
Jode?
All right, Buckets and Bibles. Check us out Friday night. We do a live stream and we kick around false doctrine and what the Word says and compare the two. So come on there. It's a good time.
It's on YouTube, right?
Yep, YouTube, Buckets and Bibles. Check
You
us
got
out.
a Patreon yet?
I do got a Patreon.
Nice.
Yep.
Awesome.
Check.
All the things.
Yeah. I love y'all's Friday night live stream.
Thanks, bro.
It's really good. I lurk in there.
I know you do.
Yeah. Well, because I'm Bear from the internet, right? And if I put like one word in the chat, everybody's like, oh my gosh, Bear is here. It's like, no, shut up. Listen to what Jody's saying. This is really good. So I just lurk in there.
That's what happens whenever this dude jumps on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I end up just lurking too.
Yeah.
Unless it's like pertinent and I'm like, nah, here's.
I love it when you guys chime in, and so does everybody. So
That's great.
Please do.
Just know that I'm there lurking with you.
Yes.
They're good.
Yeah.
I'm listening. Awesome. Of course, we have Dud behind the camera over here.
J.A. Dudley.
He's on all the socials. He's Googleable.
He puts it on
J.A.
Facebook.
Dudley. Man, he's our brother and our friend, and he makes the show happen.
Yeah.
And he does jujitsu stuff, Full Metal Fight Club. And he also does media, Full Metal Multimedia. Is that correct, Dud?
Yes.
Full Metal Multimedia. And he drives really fast, takes lots of chances.
He does a lot of editing while driving.
Does a lot of editing.
It's a little scary.
So if
But he's good at what he does.
if you
Don't ride
need
with
media
him.
stuff done on all the socials, or if you need to get punched in the face or learn how to punch somebody in the face, Dudley's got you. He's the guy. All inquiries go to admin@bearindependent.com. Don't ask me any questions. Don't put any questions in the chat. I'm going to go talk to the cops now. So, happy Monday, everybody. May the Father make his face to shine upon you. May he give you his peace, his shalom this day. And might we all walk in the model of the Most High, and the Most High may flesh to the best of our ability. Fear nothing but Yahweh your Elohim, the Lord your God. Simple as that. Fear nothing. And wherever his spirit takes you, that's what you do. That's what you act on to the best of your ability. It'll be uncomfortable, but it'll be good. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll see you when we see you. Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.